Welcome back, Tigercast fans. I want to do something a little bit different. I want to do a 5 things we learnt from the St Kilda game that we just had on the weekend. And it's probably something I look to do for the rest of the year and then going into 2026, as there's little bits and pieces we take out of games, or maybe a build-up of something that then we finally see the end results of, and then we've learnt something new that I think can raise some interesting discussion points. But the 5 things that I learnt from the St Kilda game, number 1, Ben Miller is capping off a fantastic season, and we would be in a world of hurt if it wasn't for he and to a larger extent the whole defensive unit. But Ben Miller's been fantastic this season. I truly don't understand the negativity that goes towards him. I really do think it's people that are maybe either not watching what or not seeing the game for what it is and having a preconceived thought about it, or they just want a whipping boy. But Miller has categorically been our best key defender all year by a long, long way. And the signs were there last year. And I've talked about this before, that I think what happened with a lot of people was Miller had a really good first half of the year last year, was ranked in the top 5-10% of defenders with winning one-on-ones and all things like that. But then the last 5 games of the season last year, we were collectively shit as a side. And he had a bit of a stinker as well in and amongst that too, which they all were. But I think that's the Ben Miller that was left in people's minds rolling into 2025. But the truth of it is that he's already had that body of work, and that form line was already sort of suggesting he was going to be a good defender this year. But he's just done it in a more consistent manner. I think for me, the biggest things that he's improved this year has most definitely for me been his skill set. So he's kicking, hitting targets. He's taking off some more dangerous kicks when exiting defensive 50. And the other thing that's improved as the season's gone on, which wasn't so strong at the start but seems to be better now, is the speed at which he makes decisions when passing the ball. And I kind of tie it back into comments that EJ made on the Monday night show, that the speed at which Miller was maybe making decisions to make passes earlier on was kind of stalling play a little bit, but now he seems to be kicking it a bit more instinctively, taking his first option, and it's helping set up the counter-attack for the rest of the ground. Not to mention that he's spoiling the way he reads the play, the marking, and just working in that back unit. He's had a ripper year, and I mean, I don't think it's a stretch at all to say he'll finish top 5 in the best and fairest. I would be completely gobsmacked if he wasn't in the top 5. But yeah, capping off a great year. Now, the second thing I learnt from the St Kilda game is Tash Hotton's hands and footy IQ are a thing of beauty. And I suppose, as a side note, he will take Mark of the Year one day. He's got some serious springs in his step. But it's all about, and I've made this comparison a couple of times, and it's not to put pressure on him at all. That's not what it's about. But it just, the way he plays reminds me of Shane Edwards. And I can't not see it anymore. The handballs over the head, the look away handballs, the underground stuff, the paddling it around players and picking up or diving on the ball and slapping it out to our advantage. He's just an instinctively smart player, and he won't need to get the ball 25, 30 times a game to have an impact. It'll be amazing if he does get to that level, because he will be ripping things apart if he's getting it 25 times a game. But he could quite honestly be a 15, 18 to 20 disposal player, but be seriously impactful with all those touches. And we're only very, very early into this young kid's career, and it's super exciting to see what he can do on the football field, and I can't wait to see what the next few years have in store for him. No doubt the CBAs will start to increase. We'll see him hopefully snag a few more goals as well. But the way he brings his teammates into game and releases players is only going to get better and better as he gets a better understanding and connection with the players out there. And yeah, it's very, very exciting. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how he continues to grow. The third thing that I learned in the St Kilda game, and this is a little bit more to do with the coaching staff as well as the players, but I learned that we are at a stage now where we can identify something that's happening that the opposition's doing well. We can identify it, we can make adjustments, and we can execute it in the same game, which is really, really important. And the what I'm talking about specifically is in the first quarter, we were defending a little bit too deep inside our defensive part of the ground, and that meant St Kilda had pretty much the whole front half of the ground to chip the ball around, move it sideways, pick their way up the middle. with no pressure whatsoever. So they were, number one, gaining a heap of uncontested possession and time in possession. They were gaining meterage, and they were just sort of being able to shift the defense around until something opened up. And I think as supporters, I saw a lot of comments on socials about it, like, we got to change something, we got to change something. And thankfully, the coaches identified it, were able to activate a different type of defending from us. We pushed up a bit higher. We got in the face and up in the contest a bit more. And it meant that we took away St Kilda's ability to chip the ball up the ground. We took away their ability to come into the corridor at will. And that really meant that the game come back onto our terms from that moment, essentially. So from the second quarter onwards, I felt that we won the territory game. We really controlled the game fairly well. It was just all about our lack of execution to convert goals. But in terms of the point 3 that I'm speaking about, it was really nice to see us identify an issue, act on it, and execute it in a timely manner. So, and you know what? As we go on in time, we'll see that happen, but we'll see it executed on field. We'll be able to get that message and change happening, rolling through play. So that's kind of the next evolution of that. But I thought that was a tick of kind to the coaching staff. The fourth thing that I learnt from the St Kilda game, and I don't know, I really hope this wasn't by design, but Tom Brown needs the ball in his hands a lot more than what he currently does. I think he had about 5 or 6 disposals in the St Kilda game. And whilst he has started to defend really, really well, so from the pure defensive side of his game has been pretty good, it's improved. Quite possibly it's been something he's been told to get to work on, to focus on that side of his game first. There's a very real chance that's happened. But I suppose where my learning or thought has come from is the kid's got an absolute weapon of a boot. And I think we are not doing ourselves justice by not getting the ball into his hands more. And I highlight that last bit of play. We all saw it unfold. McIntosh has the ball, has Tom Brown riding shotgun to the side of him. Look, I don't know fully what was ahead of Tom Brown, whether St Kilda players were closing or not, but that should have been an instant give to Tom Brown, the guy who's got a penetrating long kick, to get that last final inside 50 attack to give us a chance to mark and score. And it obviously didn't eventuate, and the rest is history. But I think to evolve Tom Brown further, and I think he can really help hit up targets up forward. Like, we are lacking some creativity and some pinpoint passing forward of centre. He can play a part in that rebounding off half-back, along with Sam Banks and Jaden Short even. So I just want to see Tom Brown get his hands on the footy a bit more and become a bit more active. But I'm also mindful that it could be a deliberate thing at this stage of his development to learn something else first. So hopefully we can see a bit more of a blend in the last couple of games and rolling into 2026. Because like I said, he's an awesome kick of the ball. He's a laser surgeon kick of the ball. So let's get the footy in his hands. And the fifth and final thing that I learned, and I don't think it was learned exclusively in just this match, but it really did highlight it a hell of a lot more, was we must sort our shit out front of centre this off-season. And that's very self-explanatory, but basically the amount of times that we would start a counter-attack from the back half, get it through the midfield, everything's looking great, we're moving it well, and then we would just completely fall to pieces front of centre and not get a shot at goal out of it, or not convert the goal, is through the roof. Maybe it's not technically through the roof, but in my mind, in the eye test, says it's through the roof. And it's a pain point for us. And I'm not at all suggesting that we need to improve this part of our game by 80 to 90%, because that's not realistically going to happen. But I really do think that even an improvement of just 10 to 15% in the off-season in this part of the ground will make a monumental difference to closing out some of these games. The amount of times that we had a quick, fast break counter-attack when we had numbers ahead of the ball, and we still kicked it to the single St Kilda player between 2 Richmond players, was staggering, frustrating, and honestly cost us the game. And I know there's a lot of inexperience out there. I know Uze has said that we are only operating off a really, really basic game plan for the forwards at the moment, which is quite clearly evident to everybody, but that's what needs to be progressed in the off-season as the number one priority. I think our defense is fine. I think we defend well against most teams, and I'm not too worried about that part of our game at the moment. Midfield can always do with some work and some personnel changing, of course. But yeah, front of centre, we've got to get that shit sorted. Otherwise, it's going to be painful. And You know, my idea of what that looks like with it fixed, we obviously had a lot of scores this year and last year that were 40 points or less, or 40 to 50 points. Not really, I mean, sometimes it's kept us in games like the St Kilda game, but overall it's not really good enough in my opinion, and I'd like to see that progress to be averaging like 65 to 75 points a game. And I know that's still probably on the lower side of most other sides, but we're not at that level to get 100 plus every week yet, so I don't want to be unrealistic. But I think with how well we defend, if we can get our scoring capacity up to 65 to 75 points, I think we'll actually find ourselves in a lot more games for a lot longer. So that needs to be the priority. But there you go. They're the 5 things I learned this week in the St Kilda game. Let us know what you learned in the comments below, whether there was some similar things, there might have been some different things. Share them all in the comments, and we'll do this one again next week too, because I think it's a fun little exercise to see what things stand out. But yeah, until next time, go Tigers.